Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you're a massive fan of great music and you want content you simply will not find anywhere else, subscribe right now. Hit the bell so you always get our daily content celebrating the best of the era. Also, join our exclusive club, the Dean's List, by clicking on our Patreon link. You can do that below. That helps us create more videos and do so many more interviews to help keep the music alive, and we do reward you with exclusives. Now, with Halloween around the corner, I wanted to celebrate some of the great songs, some of the festive songs that come around this time of year. And later, we're going to have Ray Parker Jr. break down Ghostbusters. He'll tell the story of that song. But first, I want to talk about, we could go back and forth and talk about some of the big songs. Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. I might argue for Dead Man's Party by Oingo Boingo. And we could go on and on. There's 20 or 30 songs out there that come around at Halloween. But the reality is when you're taking your kids trick-or-treating, or your grandkids, or you're going yourself, hey, I don't judge if you are, teach their own. But whatever the case may be, you're gonna hear three songs until you're about to throw up all the candy you've just eaten. And it's kind of interesting. I'll give you a little bit of breakdown behind some of these. Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt Kickers. There's Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. and Thriller by Michael Jackson. Now, for all of us 70s and 80s kids, Halloween meant a few things. Charlie Brown, the Great Pumpkin being one.
Once you sit here in this pumpkin patch and you'll see the Great Pumpkin with your own eyes.
Back in the days before we had everything on demand and 1,000 channels and streaming services to choose from, we actually had to watch a show at a certain time. You weren't there, you missed it. I mean, maybe later on you could record it with your VCR, but it just created such wonder and such excitement, especially when you saw this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And we wore costumes that were fire hazards, flammable plastic. Wearing a surgical mask. We wore these suckers for 6 hours at a time. We also have the greatest horror films ever in the 80s. Freddy and Jason, Poltergeist, Michael Myers. And we'd scope out the houses that, would give us the full-size candy bars. We have Thriller and Ghostbusters and Nightmare on My Street. Oh my gosh. Anyway, without waxing too nostalgic about those days, I want to talk about a few of these songs real quick. Monster Mash, of course, has been a mainstay. It's about as hokey as a song can get, but always puts a smile on my face. Bobby Boris Pickett, the co-writer and singer, was an up-and-coming actor, and in the early 60s, and he sang with a band called The Cordials at night, and I guess he did auditions during the day. Now, one night when he was performing with the band, he did an imitation of Boris Karloff when he was singing the Diamonds, the song Little Darling. Boris Karloff, of course, maybe the most famous horror actor ever. But when Bobby Pickett did this, the audience went nuts. They loved it. And his bandmate, Lenny Capizzi, encouraged him to do more with it. So they actually both wrote the Monster Mash, and they recorded it with Gary S. Paxton. He did a lot of novelty songs back in the day. They recorded it with a lot of the big session players. There was Leon Russell and Mel Taylor, the drummer for the Ventures.
He did the Monster Mash. The Monster Mash. It was a graveyard.
And the song was inspired by, like I said, Gary Paxton's earlier novelty hit Alley Oop. And the mashed potato dance craze of that moment. And they made up their own variation of the mashed potatoes to this song as well. Anyway, this song hit #1 and has been a core song of October 31st ever since that time.
It was a graveyard smash. It caught on.
Now, as far as Thriller goes, every 80s kid knows this song and the video by heart. I mean, since we watched the Making a Thriller video about 500 times, at least I did. We actually have a full story of this song with Michael Jackson's longtime band leader and legendary keyboardist Greg Phillinganes, plus a lot of other people that worked on the album. We're working on that special Thriller album piece for the future. So we're not going to go into it here, but I will tease you with this. would surprise many of you to know that the song Thriller, it didn't go to number 1. It actually came up a bit short. It went to number 4. But what other song could brag that it had Vincent Price as its narrator? That leads us to Ghostbusters, an eternal touchstone for any true child of the 80s. Instead of telling you the story myself, I'm going to turn it over right now to Mr. Ray Parker Jr. himself to tell you about it. With an appearance by iconic songwriter Martin Page, who participated in this session. By the way, this is a very short version of our full 25-minute documentary on the story of Ghostbusters, the song. And you can get the uncut version, all 25 minutes, at our Patreon link below, as well as many other exclusives. As we go into this awesome interview, it's really cool. You're going to love Ray. He actually plays the song. I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. I love these glasses. You can create your own pair of stylish glasses or sunglasses for the price that won't scare anybody away. I mean, it's a lot less than a vinyl record a lot of times. Anyway, click on our Zenni link below to do that for a special offer. Now here's Ray with the song. Well, 1984, I mean, how could you prepare for the life-changing event that would be the Ghostbusters song? Talking about number 1 pop sold in the U.S., France, Canada, Belgium, Africa, top 5 worldwide. Everywhere. And of course, being a fan of the movie, and when I first heard the song, I thought you were Lando Calrissian. You know, when you're a little kid, you don't put in, that's Billy D. Williams. Yeah, right, you don't think of the actor, you think of Lando Calrissian. I'm like, Lando Calrissian singing the Ghostbusters song. This is amazing.
That's amazing. That works. We're different ages, but they went back and got a picture of him, and we look just alike. It's hard to tell one from the other.
But you were approached by the film producers to create the theme song. You only had a couple of days, as I remember.
I got a phone call from Gerald Busby to see this band called The New Edition. Well, they wanted to record Mr. Telephone Man. So that was the first time I'd been in LA in a while. I was in Spago's eating, and there was a black poster, and they were just painting the red circle. The phone rings, and it's Gary LaMelle saying, "You got to help me on this film. You're the guy to do it. I know you can do it." Right? He was 100% sure that I could do it.
Well, they had already had like 60 songs. A
lot of people. Yeah, they had a bunch of songs. And Gary says, "Man, we got a problem here. The director don't like anything. The movie's coming out in a few weeks. I need this song." And he says, "But I need the words Ghostbusters in the song." He gave me very specific. He says, "I want saxophone line in it." Because he wanted it to sound like a bar band music. And if you think bar band, when I was in the bar, so I know we're going to play those chords, boom, 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 boom. That's bar band. That's what a bar band does. So, I went to see the film and everything was going. I met the director. He told me exactly what I wanted. He said, "I need a little saxophone, need some bar band, need some da-da-da. But it needs to be up-tempo, don't make it too slow because the movie's got action in it, needs to get going." And I sat there like, okay, I got it. I said, I don't know what to do. And I thought, this would be simple. He wants a bar band thing. Then he throws the curve at the end of the meeting. "But I want the words Ghostbusters in the song." It's like, Ghostbusters? And he said, "Yeah, Ghostbusters." See, now you say Ghostbusters. That's because you heard the song.
Exactly.
But before you heard the song, it was like Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Think about that for a minute. What rhymes with Ghostbusters? Nothing.
And wait a minute, worse than that, you can't even sing. It sounds stupid when you just, "I love a Ghostbuster." I mean, there's no way you could say this word.
No.
Then it occurred to me, no wonder they got 60 songs and nobody's liked it over here. This is
How
a hell of a job.
That?
No wonder they're paying me this. This is impossible, But there's this part of the movie where the Ghostbusters had their backpacks and they got their things and they got the phone number underneath it.
The 555 number.
Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Ghostbusters.
So 4 a.m, I'm sleepy. I got all the music's done. I got no words, none. And then the commercials come on TV. And I think it's a pesticide or Roto-Rooter commercial. I don't know what it is, but something like that. And the guys had their bug machines or whatever, this pesticide spray thing. And they had a phone number in here. And they said, "Call this number if you want to get rid of so-and-so." I'm like, that looks like the Ghostbusters. Call. I had now I know it's like the phone number. Forget the Ghostbusters, the phone number. And I thought, well, I got to say who you going to call. And I said, if I do that, what that allows me to do is never say the word Ghostbusters. And then I'm going to have a crowd answer Ghostbusters. It's who you call. And I said, because it's a crowd, they're not really in the record. They're not musical. So that takes away the word Ghostbusters. That gets it out of the song.
Exactly.
So we can have a song. And I can sing who you going to call.
Who you going to call?
And the magic that happened is you got me from Detroit with my sort of Detroit accent. Who you gonna call them doing? I ain't afraid of them. But then you got these Valley girls with that stiff. I mean, Los Angeles Valley. So it's like East Coast meets West Coast, and they're like, someplace else, and it just worked. It's just one of those things.
The call and response is brilliant because I think that goes back to music forever. The call and response goes back to jazz. It goes back to
Exactly.
I'll take you there.
The other thing that's brilliant about it is because you have people shouting it, so immediately anybody is going to sing it.
Right.
Because you don't have to have a great voice.
You don't have to have a great...
You're involving everybody. And say, who are you going to call? And then they're going to answer.
Respond to you.
It's just so brilliant for a movie. The other thing, too, is that the 3 most memorable lines have become part of our everyday lingo as a human race. I mean, you think about who you going to call.
That's the
I ain't
first
afraid
one.
no ghosts.
And
right?
Bustin' makes me
and
feel good.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good.
So take us through it a little bit, if you don't mind, because I'd love to hear you play it.
Well, first of all, we're going to go back to those same 2 chords.
Yep.
And by the way, people think it's a simple song, and most bar bands mess it up because the magic's in the guitar part.
Yeah.
And the guitar doesn't play on the downbeat like, it plays on 2, rest. But then you got to have this rhythm.
Yeah.
So it lands on an interesting beat. Then the other part is actually triplet time. So it's actually a little funkier than you would think.
Yeah, totally.
But in order to play it right, the other thing I thought of is everything had to be military time. It had to be stiff. So the guitar is a little looser because it plays that rhythm, but everything else is and it's very Gestapo, very military, very, that's why, I remember I used to watch Gomer Pyle.
Sergeant Carter, sir! I can't hear you!
So at the end I got, calm down, dog, I can't hear you. Remember you saw yell at Gomer? So it's that march, everything is marching.
I can't hear you. Who you gonna call?
Well, there's so many different melodies to it too.
Yeah.
Because even when you the I hear it likes a girl,
Exactly.
dun, 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 with the saxophone coming in.
And that's Charles singing that part.
Yeah.
I hear it likes the girls. It's like everybody. It's one of those things, we couldn't do anything wrong. Put the instruments up as fast as I could, and I used whatever sounds were sitting in front of me.
Well, it's also when you hear the beginning of the song and you hear that, that's all an intro or synth, of course.
That sounds like something I heard as a kid. I just remember that meant spooky. So I said, I'm always do that. If I get a chance, I'm gonna do that. Then I put the drums on. I mean, it was one of those moments in history.
It all came together.
You couldn't mess up.
You can't even really
couldn't mess up. I had a sequencer,
describe it.
Jupiter 6. I had the drum machine, and everything I played. That's what we kept. We didn't spend any time getting the sounds up. Just plug in. Let's go. What's the first sound? Okay, that's it.
Well, it has such a likable, fun lyrics too. Like when you say an invisible man sleeping in your bed, and then you come out underneath the bed with the video.
Now, who you gonna call?
Ow!
An invisible man sleeping in your bed. Ow!
Who you gonna call?
I mean, was that something that you were just in the studio and you're just kind of having fun? It sounds like.
It's worse than that. The messenger was coming at 9 o'clock. The girls left at 8 o'clock because they had class at 8 o'clock, the girls and a couple of guys.
Yeah.
So between 8 and 9 o'clock, I'm panicking because I got no words. I just got who you gonna call and the kids singing Ghostbusters. I don't have no verses. I ain't got none of that. So, and I didn't need all of it, by the way, at that time. I just needed the first verse, right? And so I put the first verse on with the messenger in the door. We locked him out. Right, so we didn't let him in. Just told him you got to wait outside. And I took a microphone with the speakers playing, no headphones on, just started singing and made up some words and that was it.
And it's got those classic Ray Parker nuances. That's why it must have felt pretty good to know that. I mean, and this is the truth. I don't think there's anybody in the universe that could have written that song the way it was written except for you. You just,
thank you.
It came together, the nuances. The bridge, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And then,
everything means 2 or 3 things.
That's so you. I love the vocal too. Great vocal is if you had a dose of freaky ghost, baby.
If you've had a dose
call.
of a freaky ghost.
You've had a dose of a freaky ghost.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
That's
How
the
did
one.
that come?
That's the one. I don't know where that came from, but it's
Let me
like
tell you something.
Yeah, tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good. That's after everything you've done. Guess what? And it's not just that. After everything you've done, let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good. Yeah, right.
Then don't get caught alone. No.
Yeah.
Don't get caught alone. No.
When it comes through your door, unless you just want some more. You know what I mean?
Well, Martin Page.
Those guys are wonderful. Martin and Brian.
The guys from Q-Field.
So he said, come in and play on this track. And all we heard was like, who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? We thought, this isn't very good. First thing we're on sounds crap. And then, but within 2 weeks, it was number one. And we played on the track. And Ray was, one instrumental in helping us get through the door.
And they came up with some of those great little parts and stuff.
Well, and of course, Martin Page, a couple of years later, wrote a couple of number one hits himself with
That's
Bernie
right.
Taupin.
Yeah.
So.
We built this city on rock and roll. These dreams go on when I close my eyes.
Well, the video, I mean, it's so classic because of the neon, perfect for the 80s with the neon lights, and you had the neon microphone, and you're perfect for the video.
Let me tell you about the video. That was it. We were panic stricken when Ivan Reitman says, but it needs to be longer. And we said, maybe we should make a record. I only cut like a minute and a half of it. And the Clive Davis was wondering, you're going to have a song where you sing about a ghost? I mean, what? We've been working on your career for like years. You got the girls, the ladies love you. What are you doing singing to go with? And, so I'm thinking, well, how does this work now? Now we're all getting scared. You're really getting scared. I mean, like everybody laughs, not because the biggest record in the world, but at the time we're like, well, maybe we shouldn't let it be a single. When they did it, they told me it's just going to be the library scene, And I sort of came up with the idea. I said, well, if you got Dan Aykroyd, if you do the Saturday Night Live guys on it with me, maybe it'll just be a spoof like for Saturday Night Live, and it won't be a serious video. Maybe they won't take it as serious. Then Ivan Reitman took that idea and just ran with it. He said, let's put everybody in a video.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I guess that could work, And so that's how the video.
And you have all these cameos. I can't even name them all. There's so many of them. And the shirts. I mean, I've got a picture of myself when I'm 8 years old, holding two fish in my hand, the Ghostbusters shirt.
Yeah.
And then there's a picture of my son. Yeah. He's 8 years old.
He's
got a Ghostbusters shirt on. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah. The most amazing thing is that the kids know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I meet a kid 5 or 6 years old.
Doesn't matter what age.
They hear it on the TV, they know the song, they know the thing, and they start smiling,
Tell us about jamming with the Ghostbusters at the end. Bill Murray, the rest of the guys. When you're teaching Bill Murray how to break dance.
I never met the guys till that moment. Right?
Wow.
And Bill Murray came up with the idea of breakdancing. And then he said, hey, spin me around. So he's got me spinning him around. It was just the craziest thing.
Nominated for an Oscar, won a Grammy. And that was Stevie Wonder. Stevie beat you, just come say I love you.
I beat him in England. I got the BAFTA award. But, that's bittersweet. Had I won the Oscar, I don't think me and Stevie would have ever spoke again. If I took Stevie Wonder's first Oscar and I was his student and it was dead quiet sitting there, I'm sitting with Stevie Wonder, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what to do here. If I win, I'm obviously going to thank him because he showed me how to write songs.
And the winner is, I would wake up, but I never thought that this would happen.
What an honor.
I know.
The guy who taught me how to write songs, who I think is the genius of the 20th century, I'm nominated for an Oscar against him.
I know.
And a Grammy against him. I mean, come on.
If I had to list all of the movies or TV shows that have used that, we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
It's been used in the cartoon series, the video games, Lego Dimension, Stranger Things 2.
Yeah.
Every generation picks up on it, right?
Yeah. And for me, one of the best things about it is when my kids were growing up, I was their hero. I don't think it gets any better than that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, the best part of the song is when I see 5 or 10-year-old kids and they're smiling happy. And everywhere I go, they're just so happy. And that's, to me, surpasses the fame, surpasses the money. It surpasses everything.
Yeah.
Because you look them in the face and they just give you that look like,
joy.
I love you. I mean, it's just, it doesn't get any better than that. They just love you,
Unless you just want some more, I think you better call Ghostbusters!
Thank you so much for watching. Leave us a comment about these songs and these artists below. What are your top Halloween songs? If you dig what we're doing here, it would help our mission to subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe below. Hit the notification button so you don't miss out. To hear these songs, you can click on our playlist below and to get into the Halloween festivities, share this video with your friends and your family. Get Ghostbusters merch below at our Amazon link and hit the Patreon link to watch the full version. Help us keep the music alive. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.